Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well, hope you're all doing great, hope you're all doing absolutely exceptional and that you're all having a great day. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. There are brand new videos every 24 hours, brand new video every single day for the last 9 years. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. A lot of good news. Some it's definitely weird news. It's not weird news. A lot of optimism still flowing within the cryptocurrency space. It's nice to see even more Optimus Prime now than we did even just a couple of weeks ago, even when prices were moving sideways or really not doing anything. There was still an air, if you remember, of analysts within the space who kept on being like, nope, good things are coming, prices are going to go up, this is going to happen, Bitcoin's going to blah, blah, blah. We're still getting a lot of Bitcoin is going to 120, 130, 140 in the very near future. A lot of analysts are still calling for an over a 200,000 US dollar Bitcoin as well. I thought this one was interesting, and I'd have my own ideas about a lot of the news that ends up happening. David Marcus, former PayPal president and now CEO of a company called LightSpark. Is that for, what is it called? What's the quick, fast Lightning Network? Is that Lightning Network? I don't know. David Marcus says Bitcoin is on track to become a major player in everyday transactions and not just as a store of value. Speaking during a CNBC episode, Marcus revealed what he sees as the next phase of digital money, a future where Bitcoin is not just held, but is actually used. This has been conceptualized since Bitcoin first came to be. I told you before I got into crypto, I read about it for a good 2 years, on and off. I mean, not every day, but I was, constantly perusing to see what the cryptocurrency space was about. And this was a general idea since 2013, 12, 14, 15, 16, that Bitcoin would eventually be used for everyday payments. The hugest issue being right now is that Bitcoin only currently does around 3 to 5 transactions per second. The main chain for Bitcoin is not going to be upgraded, as far as we know, anytime soon to allow for 500, 3,000 transactions, simply because basically developers, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's literally kind of the motto, where if you do too many upgrades and updates to this system, it might work, but what happens if one transaction breaks? What happens if some new code that ends up being added allows people to exploit the amount of Bitcoin being made? What if instead of 21 million, someone figures out a way to make it 21 million and one? It shows that things that can't be broken can be broken. So this is typically the answer that we usually get, and this is where the Lightning Network usually gets leaned upon. This idea of, well, we have a system that will allow this to yada, yada, yada. But also, keeping in mind, we currently exist in a reality where a lot of people, myself included, believe that we are hurtling towards a $1 million Bitcoin. No one wants to be the pizza guy. No one. And I say it in this way. Nobody wants to sell their Bitcoin at 135, knowing that it could 10x. Nobody wants to sell their Bitcoin at $500,000, knowing that it could double or triple or quadruple or go to $14 million. So the idea of Bitcoin as an everyday payment thing, kind of thing, is totally feasible. but we need Bitcoin to be ridiculously high in price. You're going to be hard pressed to get someone to sell off 1/100th of a Bitcoin, a million Satoshis, as opposed to relinquishing 350 Satoshis on a purchase at a store or whatever the actual case might be. A lot of people, and I told you this before, this was weeks ago, it feels like with all the integration of Bitcoin into basically everything, we're seeing a lot of people trying to like rehash or trying to like revive some kind of another narrative for Bitcoin as to what Bitcoin could or would or should be. We had a lot of people in the last few weeks, once again randomly, discussing Bitcoin as like digital gold and how it's going to be amazing and people will use it over gold. And I'm like, let's get to $1 million first. When we pass by the market cap of gold, there won't really be a discussion anymore. But actually as like a payment method system, I don't know. Thus, the executive is predicting a transition towards hybrid systems where people use national currencies for daily spending, while also holding and spending Bitcoin, here we go, earned through things like rewards or microtransactions. Oh, how do I even... So, do you remember in the olden days, the literal olden days, when PayPal was trying to become popular? Do you remember what they did? PayPal used to offer, I believe it was $5 or $10 if you were a new PayPal account person. And if you used, they had like an affiliate link, but back then it wasn't really called an affiliate link. It was just like a share this link. This is like 2001, 2, 3 or something like that. This is before the idea of affiliates. You would share it with your friends and family members and coworkers, and they would use it, and you would get like a kickback basically from it. That was the same exact thing that Coinbase used in the early days. And this is kind of one of the ideas. And this isn't talked about too much. It could be a thing, but I think personally, a lot of what crypto executives and rich people, what they like, I mean like wealthy people who like, you know, someone who's on the screen, who's talking about this stuff, it seems like they throw ideas out, but we never hear about those ideas actually being done. So you can say anything you want. You know, I think Bitcoin's going to eventually serve donkeys and horses who can fly. Well, where are those donkeys using Bitcoin? Oh, we don't have, like, you know, it's always kind of they throw ideas out, but nothing more usually comes from it. One of the ideas has to do with staking. The idea of being able to stake your Bitcoin and get like essentially a reward from it, some kind of a staking reward, money that you get for free that would then also be able to be used outside of having to use your normal Bitcoin. And the idea of microtransactions, this was touted, this must have been 5, 6, 7 years ago as an idea similar to, what's that NFT game that all the people in like Indonesia were using? Like it looks like Mortal Kombat, but it's not. And like you have these little characters. And one of the ideas was that basically you'd be able to like earn Bitcoin also through video games. Even more interestingly, if you didn't see this around, someone is trying to start up Bitcoin faucets again. If you don't know what a Bitcoin faucet is, boy howdy. A long time ago, people literally would put their Bitcoin onto a website and you could click like, give me some Bitcoin. When they originally did this back in 2010, the Bitcoin faucet would give you 5 Bitcoin. I know it seems unimaginable because we know what the price of Bitcoin is now, but a lot of like early adopters used these. I think you were able to use them every 24 hours, like per person, like per computer or address. I forgot exactly what it was, but there are a lot of like older wallet addresses that have like $26 million worth of Bitcoin because they were using these faucets. completely insane, right? It used to look like this. Hold on. Is there a photo? Yes. It used to look just like this. It was really, I think I remember seeing them when the Faucets, I believe, were giving away 0.001. And then they kind of completely disappeared. They used to also, maybe you can see it. They used to also say exactly how much Bitcoin were like there, like remaining on it. So now apparently someone's trying to revive this. I think it's not a good idea. I think the best way for adoption, the entire purpose of them bringing back the Bitcoin faucet is meant to be for adoption. But people who are already into Bitcoin already adopted. Like, we already know what it is. This is one of the things where you have to go to other countries and basically kind of like explain what Bitcoin is to them, like educate people and then give them Bitcoin that way. The only people who are probably going to be using these faucets are people who already have Bitcoin. So anyway, right. Yeah. So I agree that at some point we are going to see this transition, if you will, for Bitcoin actually being used as a currency, but I think we're quite far off, or at least until we get past $1 million per Bitcoin and some change, people aren't really going to be as willing to do it unless people are getting paid in Bitcoin, unless landlords are accepting Bitcoin, which is also something that has entered my mind before, and I need to figure out the actual legality of it, because that would actually be kind of cool. But yeah. Cool. David Marcus is not the first person to say this. He will not be the last. A lot of people are talking about the future of Bitcoin as actual payments. I think where we currently are right now is just institutionalized. ETFs, futures. There are discussions about Bitcoin bonds. I think from a higher up standpoint, I think this is where the Bitcoin adoption will come in. Institutions creating their own cryptocurrency exchanges, pushing in billions into the market as they're trading, adding extra liquidity. But which we still have not gotten any of, until we get proper Lightning Network usage and news and things like that, and things when you walk into the store and you want to buy a t-shirt, and unless the price of it says 218 Satoshis, people aren't really gonna, be doing that too quickly. Yeah, that's the former president of PayPal says Bitcoin is going to be digital money or something like that. And also, they're trying to bring back Bitcoin faucets. Apparently, none of them are full of coins yet at the time of me making this, but we'll see what happens, because those coins have to come out of someone's pocket. So I assume someone's giving up 5, 10 Bitcoin of their own money. And I assume the payout is going to be 10,000 Satoshis. And I don't know if that's more than the actual transaction fees. So interesting times ahead. That's that news. And yeah, let's move on. Keeping up with optimism news, because that's a lot of what we get. Peter Chung, head of research at the quantitative trading firm Presto, has repeated his prediction that Bitcoin is going to reach $210,000 by the end of this year. In an interview at the end of April with CNBC, Chung cited institutional adoption and global liquidity expansion as the primary drivers behind his long-term bullish outlook. For those of you who don't know what the global liquidity expansion is, it's printing more money. Yeah, so even though right now we have heard that, this was directly from this man as well, that in May and in June, there will be no Fed rate cuts unless something dramatical happens. Jerome Powell said no, he's not lowering rates at any point. But other countries have already begun to turn on their money printers simply because of the tariffs, runoff from the tariffs, slowed economic growth that has been building for quite some time. And once again, the tariffs also did not help. Therefore, countries have been planning on turning on the money printer. And if you haven't been on Twitter, a lot of people have been posting, like charts and stuff like that. And we have historically seen that as the global liquidity supply expands, I forgot what the exact time frame is. People say 5 weeks, 10 weeks, whatever, that Bitcoin usually proceeds to rally after those things have actually taken place. So we know that the Fed has announced that they're going to begin printing money relatively soon as a way to prop up markets and make things a little bit better. China's doing it. Other countries are doing it. If you missed the news a couple of weeks ago, Germany announced that they're going to be printing 1 trillion. That's trillion with a T. 1 trillion euros for government spending and this and expanded and all these other kinds of things. So yeah, as that continues to happen and as we've been hearing news about it, you might have noticed that the last 6 weeks, a lot of our news as far as Bitcoin's going to go higher in price has revolved around governments are going to be printing more money. And this is incredibly bullish, as I've said, for people with assets. Inflation is going to rise. It's going to get more dramaticals. And at some point, eggs are probably going to be $21. The analysts acknowledge that market conditions this year haven't been as expected, specifically the challenging macroeconomic environment and market reaction. Yeah. However, he described recent corrections that we've had as healthy, suggesting they have laid a stronger foundations for Bitcoin's progression towards becoming a mainstream financial asset. Wonderful. This is still one of the lower numbers. We recently heard from the head of Blockstream, like the biggest Bitcoin company within the space. The CEO of Blockstream said he's expecting this year. And listen, understand that these people are in rooms with very wealthy people who are literally moving the markets. So when people say stuff like this, I really do take it to heart because I'm like, you know something we don't. We hear about all this accumulation. We hear about all this money. We hear about all this movement. To be brave enough to come out and said he sees Bitcoin this year at $500,000 to $1 million per coin, it makes the mind kind of go, what else is going on? Another analyst just said 250, and we haven't really gotten any 300s lately. We're either getting 200. This guy says 210. Why not? 250s or $500,000 to $1 million. We're not getting any real in-betweens anymore for Bitcoin's price. So yeah, we'll see where things end up going. Very nice, really, really though, to see tons of optimism within the cryptocurrency space, especially when we have all this accumulation news and things are just awesome for us. Yeah. That's the Bitcoin prediction by the end of this year news. And yeah, let's move on. Okie dokie. Charles Hoskinson is apparently on a roll. For those of you who haven't seen, Charles Hoskinson has changed, metamorphosized into kind of the same, the older Charles Hoskinson that we knew from years ago. It was a bit of a stint where he was fighting with people on Twitter and he was calling XRP holders names. And then out of nowhere, October, November of last year, he announces that he loves XRP and Ripple's amazing. These sound like jokes? Nope, they're not. This all actually happened. And that Bitcoin was spectacular, despite him saying that Cardano was going to beat Bitcoin. And now they're trying to build on top of Bitcoin to allow Bitcoin staking on Cardano. And they're trying to get the Ripple US dollar stablecoin built on minted on Cardano as well. We recently heard from Charles Hoskinson, and you normally do not hear from the creator on this. He said that this year, Charles Hoskinson is predicting a $5 or a $10 Cardano. And everyone was like, what? That's crazy. So now we have another iteration of, yeah, let's do it. Things are cool, something like that. Cardano is going to be launching an AI testnet. As AI is like the talk of the town right now, and people think it's going to change the world, and which it is going to, but not the way that people expect, and that it's going to basically bring about a brand new revolution. I think this is kind of like a runoff from like AI coins. Remember those when I told you not to buy those last year because they were all going to be garbage? Like this idea that for some reason people think that crypto needs AI and that things will flourish even further from here. Cardano is creating an AI testnet. Deploying AI agents will stress test Cardano's new Leos protocol. Analysts expect Cardano's latest innovation to boost its price. Cardano is aiming to launch an AI testnet as part of its Leos research agenda. Charles Hoskinson, the Cardano founder, posted on Twitter saying the upcoming testnet will run the protocol at the fastest possible speeds. Here's a tweet forward right here. As part of the Leos research agenda, we are going to build a testnet running the protocol, like I just said, at the fastest possible speeds. We'll populate it with thousands of AI agents to trade amongst each other. Any Cardano DApp wants to sign up to or deploy on Face Melting Net FMN. Oh gosh, I'm trying not to roll my eyes. I sit here sometimes and Face Melting Net is, I have so many questions. Cool, I think. So we'll see what this does. Not many other coins have tried doing something like this, so maybe it might actually be something innovative. This might be like a, whoa, Cardano did it second or third, because I feel like one other coin has definitely done this before. But yeah, AI agents were very popular last year as kind of like imagine like someone working for you or doing things for you on a blockchain, but they're AI and they work for you, so they're an agent or something like that. I don't know. I feel like we're just kind of throwing straws at this point. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I feel like I'm going to move on now. That's the Cardano. Whoa, the letters A and I. I don't know how they're doing it. I can't keep up with all these miraculous updates from these blockchains. All right. Let's move on. Also what? That's not possible. You can't keep doing that. Metaplanet has issued $24 million in bonds to fund additional purchases of Bitcoin. After hotel? What? I have to Google that. After it says, the website says, after the Japanese hotel firm's holdings. Is Metaplanet a hotel company? There's no way on this earth. I want to reach for my phone and Google this right now. Is Metaplanet a hotel company? Okay. After they recently surpassed 5,000 Bitcoin. Yes, it seems unbelievable, but it is quite believable because they keep doing it every week. Metaplanet is one of the companies who is mimicking the success, the prowess, if you will, of MicroStrategy, who basically is throwing, I feel like at this point, MicroStrategy is kind of just like making up money out of thin air. If you missed one of the more recent videos, MicroStrategy, listen. This isn't being mean or rude. All these people are rich. Metaplanet is raising 3.6 billion yen, which is $24 million. Do you know how much money MicroStrategy is currently trying to raise? You'll never guess. You know how they're raising like 21 million, then 21 million? MicroStrategy just announced that they're raising 84 billion US dollars. not yen, but US dollars. 84 USD billion to buy up more Bitcoin. This is why I keep saying, you know, I think it's nice to be delusional sometimes and think that other companies are going to beat MicroStrategy. It's not. MicroStrategy is going to have, if MicroStrategy doesn't have 1.5 million Bitcoin, 1.5 million BTC by the end of 2027, you wouldn't understand the levels of shock that I would have to my body, because they're buying all of it. They're just buying every single thing that's left. I'm sorry. It's just really ridiculous to see what's going on. And this is why I've been screaming for years. I'm like, hey, you guys see that one gigantic company that just bought 38,000 Bitcoin in one go, and everyone's like, TMI, you're so dramatic. There's so much Bitcoin left. These people are they are a skip and a hop and a jump away from 1 million Bitcoin this year. Anywho, Metaplanet, wow, Metaplanet is raising $24 million in bonds to buy more Bitcoin. It's so ridiculous. According to a notice from the company, the newly issued bonds were sold entirely to a company called Evo Fund. Entirely? Okay. The bonds carry no interest. What? Why would anyone want to buy them? Am I missing something? Am I just lending you $24 million so that you can give me back $24 million? No, you know inflation exists, right? We're a company. We need more money back. The bonds carry no interest and will be redeemed at face or par value on Halloween, ooh, spooky, of this year, unless repaid earlier at the bondholder's request. There's a, okay, sure, why not? Blank space, fantastic, awesome. The funds are earmarked specifically for BTC acquisition, in line with the plan disclosed earlier this year, when Metaplanet detailed a series of stock acquisition rights. For those of you who missed it, earlier this year, Metaplanet stated that their goal for this year is 10,000 BTC. Next year, Metaplanet wants to have, I assume they'll buy more, but their goal is to get 21,000 Bitcoin. 21,000. My mind can't logically imagine being able to sit there and go, I think I'm going to raise 25 million today. Oh, for what? I kind of want to buy more Bitcoin. I can't. The idea of having like half a Bitcoin, like, so listen, I'll tell you how my mind works. The idea of having half a Bitcoin sounds insane. When you understand like actual scarcity, half a Bitcoin is like, what the fudge are you talking about? 10 Bitcoin is like, no one can catch up to you. Like you're so far ahead of the race. Like no one else has a chance. 1,000 Bitcoin is like, you are wealthy. 10,000 Bitcoin is like, my mind can't conceptualize that amount of Bitcoin, like having it, like really though. And then you go over to Metaplanet and it's like, okay, you guys want 21,000 Bitcoin? All right. Then you go to MicroStrategy, and MicroStrategy is like, we're going to own all of it. So yeah, corporations have taken over. Very big congratulations to everyone out there who's been paying attention to all the Bitcoin acquisition news and have made sure to procure some Bitcoin for you and your family as the world continues to get more ridiculous and prices continue to rise and your Bitcoin appreciates. At some point, you'll be telling your grandkids the reason why we're worth 800 million is because I was watching a video on YouTube and the guy was like, is no one paying attention? So I paid attention. Look at how rich we are. See, everything that the sun touches, that's ours because we're the Lion King. Okay, well, that's going to do it for this video. I do hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.